been looking at Psalm 23 as a church and what each verse means. So the part I'm going to read today is your rod and your staff, they comfort me. But I'm going to start at the beginning just in case you're not familiar. So it says, a Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So I'm going to focus on this, your rod and staff, they comfort me section. And another version I read says, your rod and staff reassure me. And to understand how his rod and his staff are comforting and reassuring, we have to know a bit more about what these shepherding tools were used for. So I did a little bit of research and I found that the rod, it was more of a shorter stick, because I couldn't really picture this one. It's more of a shorter stick that had bits embedded in the end, which made it an effective weapon that the shepherd would use to protect his flock from enemies such as thieves or wild animals that would come to take the sheep. And I'm going to read a bit of 1 Samuel verse 17. 1 Samuel 17 verse 34 to 35. And we can see that David, who wrote this psalm, actually used this weapon himself as he was a shepherd. So it says, but David said to Saul, your servant, that's himself, used to keep sheep for his father. And when there came a lion or a bear and took a lamb from the flock, I went after him and struck him and delivered it out of his mouth. And if he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Now, it would have been this weapon, this tool, that he would have used in that situation. And another way that the rod could have been used was to count the sheep. So the shepherd would hold this rod in the entrance to fold as they were coming in, just high enough so that the sheep could pass under it one at a time. So the shepherd would know that none of them were missing, and then if they discovered that one of them hadn't returned, they would then start a search for it straight away. Now the second tool is the staff, and I think this one's a bit more familiar to us. We've probably seen pictures of it. It's a longer kind of walking stick kind of thing with a crook at the end on the top, and that would be used to direct and guide the sheep. The shepherd could lean on it and use it to help him climb, I guess, up in the hills, and it would be very useful if the shepherd needed to rescue a lamb that had got into some trouble somewhere. So if it got into a difficult situation, he could put that crook end down, get hold of the lamb and kind of pull it out to safety. So that was more of a weapon, or not a weapon, a tool used to care for his sheep. We all know that tools alone can offer nothing unless they are in the hands of someone who is skilled and trained to use them. So in the case of this psalm, that person is the shepherd, using these tools to care for his sheep, to defend his sheep. But David is specifically referring to his Lord and God being his shepherd, the one who he can trust in to defend him and to care for him. What I love about this verse is that it says, your rod and staff, they comfort me. The comfort and reassurance not only came from knowing that the tool was there and what it could be used for, but it came from knowing whose hands those tools were in, and that was his good shepherd. And we can know that same comfort and reassurance when we put our trust in Jesus and know him as our good shepherd as well. And I also just wanted to read one more verse, which is John 10 verse 11 to 15. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he's a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Now, there is nothing I find more comforting and reassuring, and nothing I find more hope in, than the fact that he is my good shepherd, that I am one of his flock who he defends and cares for. And I hope that you can find that same comfort and reassurance in him today as well.